Hey guys, so I'm finally back with a new video. I know it's been ages. I think it's been like 2 months or so. We've been in a lockdown here in the Netherlands. We still are, but the difference is that now my kids are allowed to go to school. This week they're going to school the whole week for the first time in I think 2 months or so. And it's been crazy. It's been a crazy ride. It's been really busy in my shop, so I've had to pack a lot of orders. I've had to homeschool my children, and it's been crazy. And now I finally have the house to myself. I haven't been able to concentrate on anything, but finally I'm here and I'm ready to go at it again. And I'm really excited because I was able to design a new kit in the past few weeks, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I've got a lovely new beginner kit. This is going to be it. So I have this one, and it's also going to be available in a different colorway, which is this one. So 2 colorways to choose from. You can get them in my shop. They are in my Etsy shop, and you can buy them. You can choose which colorway you want, and then you can come back to this video and I will explain exactly how to make this design. It's a fun freeform design with different stitches and a lot of texture. So on this side we use low piles, which we will punch from the back, and then I have another area which has the satin stitch in a lovely multicolored yarn. In the middle we have higher loops, and then the other areas are made with the flat stitch. So guys, let's get started and have a lot of fun. I'm going to show you how to make this design with colorway Touch of Red. It has a lovely deep red and this gorgeous multicolored yarn with ochre and pinks and some blue to have a little bit of contrast. So what do we need? We need the 7-inch embroidery hoop. I always use this wooden one because it's really good in holding my fabric. I've already copied the pattern onto the fabric. This is monk's cloth, and if you want to get the pattern you can also get it separately, so you can go to my shop and for a small fee you can get this pattern. It's a way to support the channel. And then we're going to place the cloth inside the hoop. If you've seen some of my other videos, you already know how to do this, but I'll show you quickly. Place it in the right way with outer lines aligned with the hoop, and then place the outer ring over it. And then make sure that you get it very tight. So we're going to pull on all sides. As you can see here, I have to pull it down a bit because the design is a bit too high up. Then start pulling on all sides and keep looking at your design to see if it's in the middle. Then it's important to get the closure closed really tight, and I like to use these pliers with this flat top. You could also use a screwdriver, and then close it at the top, maybe close it a little bit, and then pull on all sides again, and then close it all the way as best you can. And that's it, tight as a drum. And now for the punch needle. This is the small laver punch needle. In the pack you will be using the largest needle available and this metal wire threader. We're going to start with the satin stitch up here with the multicolored yarn. So I'm going to thread my punch needle with this yarn. If you've got the other colorway, you will use the blue multicolored yarn. So if you're unsure about punch needle and this is your first punch needle project, you can also watch my video introduction to the laver punch needle, which I will link up here. In that video, I explain how to use the needle, how to punch your first stitches, and how to thread the needle properly. So that might be wise to watch first if you are a little unsure about how punch needle works. So I've now threaded the needle, and I'm going to set the length of the needle as high as I can, because we're going to be doing the set-in stitch. So we want long loops on the back holding on to this long stitch. It's very important to do that. Now we're going to start by making sure there's a lot of slack on the yarn, that it can move through the needle easily, and we're going up and down this area. Let me just point out that I haven't drawn the pattern too close to the edge, because you can't reach there with your punch needle and you don't want the drawing showing in the end. So punch in the punch needle and then pull on the tail on the back to make sure that the tails are all on the back side. And then simply punch across the area to the other side. And then turn the needle and go back, turn the needle back up, and so on. It's really very simple. Make sure you punch all the way through until you can't go any further, and that you have slack on the yarn so that it can go through the needle, and that you don't pull up your needle too high. So when something is blocking the yarn and you can't go through, then you will start pulling out stitches. So go up and down like this. See how this multicolored yarn is giving this really cool effect. So let's have a closer look. So I'm turning my needle, having the yarn coming up behind me. Turn the needle again, turn up and in, turn up and in. And that's the way it should go. So on the back we're creating these long loops, which are ensuring us that the stitch will stay in, because the fabric will grab hold of the loops. So I'm going to continue with this area and then come back. Now we've reached the end, so make sure you go all the way to the edge of the hoop. And there you go. Looks lovely. And on the back we're going to pull on the yarn, which is attached to the needle, while holding the punch needle on the other side. Then take your scissors or snippers and snip it off and pull out the punch needle. You will be left with a tail. And then the first area is done. I think it's really cool with this multicolored yarn. Now on to the next area. I've already threaded my needle, but I'm going to adjust the size of the needle. I'm going to make it lower. We're going to make these flat stitch, so we don't need a long needle because we don't want large loops on the back. So I'm going to fill up this area. Make sure you go all the way to the edge, pull out the tail on the back, and then make stitches. So I'm going to make stitches of a little bit smaller than a centimeter or so, and just go back and forth. So over here I've made a little mistake. You can just pull it out, pull on the yarn, and then correct it. I didn't like the line that I had chosen. So over here I'm going to turn around and go back. So I'm going back along these lines, and over here I'm going to punch in bricks, laying bricks. So I'm going to punch in the middle of the previous stitch. I will show you that more clearly later, but this is the best method to fill up the area as even as possible. So as you can see, all the ends of stitches are in the middle of the previous stitch, if that makes sense. So I'm just filling this up. It's really all quite simple. So this area is done. I love the red tones in this yarn. In the back you can see that the area is not filled really well, but that's because we made really short loops, and if you want to fill up the area you need a longer needle. Don't make the needle too short, because then your loops will start falling out. So I already did the blue area as well, also by going back and forth. Now we're going to do the middle area with the long loops sticking out at the front, which means we'll be punching from the back. We can now punch this area because it's been defined by the loops we've made already with the other areas. We're going to use this lovely beige wool silk blend, and we're going to set the needle quite high because we want long loops here. I'm going to set it to as long as possible. We're now going to punch along the loops of previous stitches. So we're going to leave the tail on this side, as this is the back, and we're just going to punch alongside the loops. So not in the loops, not to outside, just alongside, and then check on the front to see if they are in the right place. So I'm going to continue this. As you can see, they are quite large, and I like that. To make it easier, I'm going to cut off some of the tails on the back because they can be in the way a bit. So now it's very important to lay bricks, as I previously explained, because on the front we want the loops to be divided evenly. So look at the stitch you have on the side from the previous row and then punch in the middle of that stitch, as you can see right here. So lay bricks. Never forget to keep slack on your yarn. So that's filling up quite nicely. Loops all the way. Happy with that. And now I'm going to continue around the entire area, all doing it in the same way as I did previously. Alongside these longer loops, it can be a bit trickier, so move those loops aside while punching. So over here, this area is starting to fill up. So I'm just going to punch this little area, then cut it off and start again from another place like here. And then fill up this area and so on. As you can see right here, it's not filled up completely yet, but always look at the front of your piece, because sometimes these longer loops fill up the area much better. So this looks done to me, so I'm going to pull out the needle while holding the yarn sticking out from the needle like this, and then while holding this loop in the front, I'm going to cut off the yarn right here. So now the needle is loose, and by pulling on the tail on this side, I will make sure this loop is the same length as the other loops. So that looks good to me. My needle is still threaded, and I just continue with the next area. What I noticed when looking closely at the front, that I still had this gap here. So I can easily solve this and just pull those long loops aside, as I said previously, and then just fill up this little patch. That's no problem at all with punch needle. You can always correct things. And just fill it up, and then you're done. And we're already onto the last area, which we're going to fill up with this beautiful ochre yellow color. And we want loops on the front, but smaller loops. So we're going to set the needle to a smaller setting. So this should be the approximate length, so almost 3 centimeters. Then we're going to fill it up from the back and pull those long loops aside and get quite close to them. And just go round and round like we did the others, and don't forget to lay bricks. That's very important when you make these smaller loops, because otherwise you will be left with gaps in the front. And that was it. And we have this lovely design in this colorway as well. So which is your favorite? We still have one more thing to do, and that's finish the back. So I think the back looks pretty neat, except for some tails sticking out. So I'm cutting those off to about 1 centimeter, just the height of the loops. And then I'm going to cut around the fabric, leaving about 2 centimeters, maybe an inch or so, and just cut it all the way. I'm using this glue this textile glue, and I'm going to put that glue on the wooden hoop, as you can see, all the way around the edge. There's no need to put glue on the yarn. The loops will stay in. This is just something you will hang on the wall. You don't have to worry about it. After letting the glue settle for a bit, you can push the cloth down onto the glue and just go around until everything sticks. So that was it for this video. I hope you had fun and you learned something today. If you want to get the kit, you can go to my shop. It's in the link in my description box, the Etsy shop that I refer to. I'm really excited about it. I hope you are too. And I'm going to plan on making a studio vlog for my next video. And I really hope, if nothing changes again, then I should be able to upload videos more regularly. And I think I'm going to make Tuesdays my day that I upload videos. I would wish I could say I will upload every Tuesday, but I can't promise that because, well, life gets in the way a lot around here. So we'll see how it goes. But I hope to see you next Tuesday or the Tuesday after. Bye!